building. But
I don't know he can sign.
I can't imagine what's going to happen next.
What is the president of Ukraine meant to do if the president of the United States has said, if you don't sign this deal, militarily we're out and you're on your own? The Europeans, we can't make enough bullets to go and help the Ukrainians. We need the Americans too to give us the cover that we are helping Ukraine in pushing back Russian troops. If the American president says, if he follows through on it, Zelensky has no option. He's being bullied into sign a deal, and he's being bullied in front of the cameras.
What was supposed to be a diplomatic meeting between Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky turned into an extraordinary public confrontation. The cameras were rolling, the tension exploded, and suddenly the world was watching two leaders clash over Ukraine, American support, and the future of the war. But here's the bigger question. Was this simply an argument, or was Trump deliberately putting Zelensky under pressure to force a deal? And what does this mean for Ukraine, Europe, and the future of the US-Ukraine relationship? Stay with us, because the real story goes far beyond what happened in that room. Now, let's break down what really happened and why this confrontation could matter far more than one explosive meeting.
It's in these moments, folks, we turn it over to what you think. I mean, you've heard the same thing. We've all been going through the consequences of a war in Ukraine, us because of rising prices, whether it's energy or otherwise. We've all seen the effects of it. Trump has come in and in a month said he's going to do a deal to end the war. What do you think? What do you think? Simon Marks is LBC's Washington correspondent. Simon, what do you think? What do you think?
I think it was a mugging. I think it was a mugging, Tom, and I think it was entirely premeditated. I think that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance knew exactly what they were going to do the moment that they brought President Zelensky into the Oval Office. This is Donald Trump's thank you to the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, who yesterday went out of his way to flatter Donald Trump, invite him to make a state visit to the UK, secured the Prime Minister's approval of President Trump's efforts to try and end the war in Ukraine. And I suspect that they were fully aware yesterday, during that meeting with the Prime Minister, of what they were going to engage in today with the Ukrainian leader, the most courageous figure Europe has seen since 1945. They engaged in a premeditated geostrategic mugging of the Ukrainian president over that 45-minute brutal photo opportunity that Donald Trump deliberately put Zelensky through. And you heard him there at one point saying, this is why I let this thing run so long. And it's clear that this was premeditated. This is going to boost Zelensky's standing in Ukraine dramatically. The Russians, and let me just tell you parenthetically, the Russian news agency TASS, a Putin propaganda outfit, was allowed into the Oval Office, but not Reuters or the Associated Press. This is manna from heaven for Vladimir Putin, and it is a massive, massive political problem for Sir Keir Starmer, Lord Peter Mandelson, Number 10, and Emmanuel Macron, of course, who was here on Monday.
And most directly, Ukraine. I mean, there's Trump saying, make a deal or we're out, is a threat that Ukraine cannot do anything but acquiesce to. And so, in a sense, Simon, I'm actually, in a way, really pleased we all got to hear and see that. Because, I mean, there it is. It is authentically angry. That meeting, were it to have happened behind closed doors, obviously would never have been shown, but the readout would have, I think, reflected some of the anger there. But we have all now seen the American president and his sort of vice president kind of bully, almost, you know, the kind of the kid next to you in the playground who goes and starts the fight on your behalf.
Absolutely. But also playing to Trump's
try and take down Zelensky in a press conference.
Totally, but also playing to Trump's base and saying, Donald Trump, that he was really glad the American people were getting a chance to see this, and continuing to accuse President Zelensky, as J.D. Vance disgracefully did there, of not having thanked the United States for its assistance. Zelensky has constantly thanked the United States and the American people for the assistance they have provided him. But this is surely now the moment that the transatlantic alliance ends. I mean, all the talk yesterday, which was, specious at best about the special relationship between the US and the UK, that is now absolutely consigned on the ash heap of bilateral cliches. There is no coming back from this for the UK, for France, for Germany, for NATO members across the board. This is the inflection point that Donald Trump absolutely planned. And it was so obviously premeditated. This wasn't a conversation that was going off the rails. This was a conversation that Donald Trump deliberately kept going, snaring Zelenskyy in to a trap that he and the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, unleashed. And, this is Donald Trump doing Putin's dirty work for Putin. There's no question about that. Now, they were supposed to leave that room and go and sign the minerals deal. It's hard to imagine that Volodymyr Zelenskyy is going to sign anything after that. Then they're supposed to have lunch together, can you imagine? And then a joint press conference. I mean, if you're Volodymyr Zelenskyy, the presumably the most sensible course now is just to leave the building. But
I don't know. He can sign.
I can't imagine what's going to happen next.
What is the president of Ukraine meant to do if the president of the United States has said, if you don't sign this deal militarily, we're out and you're on your own? The Europeans. We can't make enough bullets to go and help the Ukrainians. We need the Americans too to give us the cover that we are helping Ukraine in pushing back Russian troops. If the American president says, if he follows through on it, Zelenskyy has no option. He's being bullied into sign a deal, and he's being bullied in front of the cameras.
Yeah, but that is why Zelenskyy is now going to need massive amounts of geopolitical European assistance, and it's going to require European leaders to start drawing a line in the sand here for the United States and the American government, rather than, as we saw Macron do on Monday and the Prime Minister do yesterday, coming here and thinking that you can flatter your way towards some kind of an agreement on security guarantees in Ukraine. Now, I think it's possible that eventually that deal on rare earths minerals get signed. I'm just wondering whether Zelenskyy, after that pasting that he took there, and every effort that he made politely to try and steer the conversation back to some semblance of normal, was absolutely torpedoed. I mean, Donald Trump at times was holding him down, and J.D. Vance was brandishing the shiv, and then other times they switched around. I've never seen anything like it.
Simon, really appreciate it. As always, thank you for being there for us. Simon Marks, LBC's Washington correspondent. Folks, there is more to come. As Simon pointed out, the meeting is happening or about to happen, and then there's a press conference that is going to take place. God knows where we're going to be in about an hour and a half's time or an hour's time when that happens. You're going to need to stick it on LBC tonight, because we're going to bring you absolutely everything as soon as we get it from the White House, at a meeting the likes of which none of us has ever heard before in our lives, over the most important issue of our own, European security, in a generation. 03456060973. Mary's in Frinton-on-Sea. Mary.
Hi, Tom. So I need to take a deep breath, actually. I just watched the press conference, and I was just telling the lady who answered the phone that I felt like bursting into tears when I was watching it, because it just struck me that it was like two horrible bully boys who are kind of in the sixth form of a secondary school, and they've approached third or fourth year and basically saying, if you don't give us your dinner money, we're going to beat the crap out of you. Except it was done in front of the world. I honestly, I just can't believe it.
It's Jerry Springer. And Mary, and not to take away from the very, very important substance of this. For years and years and years, I've had the privilege of being able to sit here and relay some of what I saw of Trump as president behind the scenes, and the influence of wrestling, WrestleMania, WWE, Andre. This was wrestling. This is WrestleMania in politics on the television about war and peace.
Absolutely.
It sort of reached its zenith tonight.
It was the most awful example of just gutter, horrible politics, and like like you say, and like your American, I can't remember his name. Sorry, he's very good.
Simon Mark,
yes, thank you, Simon. Absolutely, it was premeditated. You could tell. And then this whole situation with Starmer yesterday. I mean, they must just be laughing. This is the worst kind of bully politics I have ever. It's just.
This wasn't just an awkward meeting. It exposed a major disagreement over how the war in Ukraine should end. Trump wants negotiations and has made it clear that American support cannot be treated as unlimited. Zelenskyy, meanwhile, is trying to protect Ukraine from accepting a deal that could leave the country vulnerable to Russia in the future. And that's where the clash happened. Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance publicly challenged Zelenskyy, while Zelenskyy pushed back. Whatever the intentions behind the confrontation, the message was impossible to miss. Washington and Kyiv are no longer presenting a completely united front, and Europe now has a serious problem. If American support decreases, European countries may be expected to do much more, but replacing America's military capabilities will not happen overnight. Meanwhile, Russia is watching every disagreement. So don't get distracted by the shouting. The real question is, what happens next? Does this pressure lead to a peace deal? Does it push Europe to take greater responsibility? Or does it create an even deeper divide between America, Ukraine, and its European allies? That's what makes this moment so important. What do you think? Was Trump using tough negotiation tactics, or did this confrontation go too far? Drop your opinion in the comments. And if you want more political analysis without the noise, like the video and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.